Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Masterclass. We're super excited you're here with us, just as everyone's joining in. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Leanna, Kim, Jana, Tammy, Iris, Nicole, Judith, and everyone else. Good morning to everyone watching online and in the replay as well. We're super excited that you're here with us. Today is going to be another great Masterclass from Coach Heaven. We're going to be diving deep into the plans for 2026, so it's going to be super exciting. And yeah, so just as everyone's joining in, we have a couple more people here. And if you're seeing this live on the Facebook group, hop on into the Zoom room. It's going to be a great time. For those who are new here and don't know me, I am Matthew. I'm the production manager for Coach Heaven. And if you're just getting to know Coach Heaven is the founder of the Kingdom Sales Academy. She has been mentoring entrepreneurs and coaches for over 20 years and is a prophetic voice in the business space and a powerhouse sales strategist. And yeah, it's really exciting. She has a great teaching for us today. So we are going to hop right into it just as everyone's getting in. Yeah, we're gonna be looking at the preloaded year in 2026, how cash flow follows your calendar. So without further ado, I think we're gonna pass it straight over to her and we'll get straight into the training.
Well, good morning, everybody. Who is excited for Christmas? Who's excited for Christmas? Put me in the chat. I'm going to hop in right away to get started because sometimes when we're thinking about 2026 and we're still in 2025, some of us are like, wow, like, what are you talking about? Getting our whole year organized. I don't have my Christmas presents yet. Does anybody not have your Christmas presents yet? Does anyone feel a little bit overwhelmed in December? Sometimes December is the month where I feel like when you have kids in school, whether or not you do, there's just seems to be a lot added to the calendar. Can I get a yes in the chat? We don't take anything out. We just add a whole bunch, right? We've got Christmas festivals and dinners and family gatherings. And, if your kids are in ballet or in other things, all of a sudden it's just this, you're just adding in. So I want you to take a deep breath in because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. In fact, the opposite. This is a training that I do every single year, the preloaded year. And it is so that you can design your 2026. Somebody put design in the chat. Most people don't fail their goals. They never build an environment that could hold them in the first place. They just don't want to build an environment. They set intentions. They may even have a prophetic word, but they don't create containers. They pray, but they don't plan. And then they wonder why January feels heavy instead of hopeful. So let me say this clearly, and you can put it in the chat. Hope isn't a strategy. Somebody put that in the chat. Hope isn't a strategy. It sounds like a strategy, but it's not. You can't say, well, I just really hope things are going to work out. So you're here today because you're done sacrificing peace for profit, or you want to scale in a way that actually feels fun. So together today, we're going to plan out 2026. If you are a person who is old school, I still have my paper and my pen right next to me. I have my iPad I like to work off, but whatever it is, I want you to be able to not feel overwhelmed and to lean in to plan out next year. I want you to write this down. Have you ever thought that cash flow follows your calendar? Cash flow follows your calendar. So if you've ever had a really great month and then you took 2 weeks off, can I get a witness? And you watched your income just drop. This wasn't a mindset issue. This was a planning and calendar issue. Money doesn't disappear. It follows attention. Money likes attention. Money likes speed. Money likes structure and rhythm. So today we're going to design a calendar that produces cash without panic. Has anybody ever listened to the Big Rocks training from Stephen Covey? Put me in the chat, the Big Rocks training. So what the Big Rocks means is that When we take a look at our calendar, look at our whole year, our container, does anybody already have some invitations next year? You may be at a speaking event, either you're the host, maybe you have birthday parties already planned, maybe there's an anniversary trip that you're going to go on. But there's a few things that you're thinking about next year. Somebody put yes in the chat. So I know everybody is on the same page with me. So there are big rocks, there are pebbles, and then there's sand. And sometimes we put in the pebbles first, or sometimes we're putting in the sand first, but we're not putting in the big rocks first. So what are you talking about? Okay, so I'm going to explain it. So sand is like the favors, the requests, the person who calls you and says, "Would you mind? Could you? Do you think you could?" They could be random opportunities, right? But if you fill your calendar with sand, what happens, right? If next year is all sand, you're going to have no cash flow. You're also likely going to have realized that you had no boundaries and that you were at the whim of people saying, "Would you like to come?" Like, I get invitations all the time from people saying, "Would you like to come? We'd love you to, lead." I thought it was funny. I got asked to like worship lead somewhere. I'm thinking I have been a worship leader before, but that's not my thing. I've had people ask me to come to South Africa. Can you come and preach or in other parts of Africa? So we have to get really clear, what is the most important thing for you for 2026? Put one word in the chat. What's the most important thing? 2026. Is it for you to accomplish something really specific? When the Bible calls and tells us to set our face like flint, it is so that we accomplish the one thing. I have something that I teach called the 5 1s, those of you who know me, and that is to have your $1 million model. You focused on one thing. Somebody put one thing in the chat. One thing that shapes your year. It might be your $50,000 offer, your $25,000 offer. It might be that you're doing 4 retreats next year and you have a very specific outcome and price point for that, as well as the deliverables and the transformation for your people. So if you have your life in the sand mode, you're filling it with other people's agendas. Okay, other people's agendas. Then there are the big rocks. So big rocks are money-making activities. Somebody put money-making activities. Money-making activities. So big rocks are money-making activities. There are also non-negotiables like rest. Rest needs to be a non-negotiable. And if you are very clear as to what your financial desired outcome is for 2026, it will help you to shape your rest. It will help you to shape your team. It'll help you to shape the deep work that God is doing in you and setting time in your calendar to do it. It'll help you with family rhythms, with your health, with your God time, and with creation and creating. We're called to be creators, not consumers. We're called to be creators. So in our big rocks, there are money-making activities. So everybody put in the chat, what are your financial goals for 2026? What would you like to see in 2026? What amount of rest would you like to have? Every weekend off, maybe 4 days a week off. What does that look like? How much time would you like to be having in family or vacations? How much time would you like to have set apart for exercise? So for me, I start my days pretty early. I got up about an hour before my alarm this morning. For those of you who receive messages from me before 5 a.m., I apologize, but I woke up just like fired up. I was just on fire, ready to get going already. I was already setting all the agenda for my house manager. I'd ordered, we made sure we had all this groceries ordered because I'm having a big party on this weekend. Yesterday was a daughter's birthday. I have some of my kids live out of town, some in town, some in my house. So I set all those instructions for my team and my house manager and all those people early in the morning. So having all that done, okay? But that comes from I'm already clear about what my goals are for the whole year around money, meaning, and freedom. So, big rocks, what are big rocks not? Big rocks are not other people's emergencies. Somebody put that in the chat. A big rock for my next year is not other people's emergencies. One of my favorite lines is that, your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on my part. Your lack of planning doesn't constitute an emergency on my part. And that can feel like, oh, that doesn't sound like a very Christian thing. No, it sounds very godly. Because if you have a specific mandate, if God has desired for you, right? If you are called, Sue was mentioning about being called to, completely obliterate sex trafficking, which I love. And I didn't get to share with you, Sue, but I had a vision a few years ago when I was in Cozumel, where we're setting up church and other things there. That's where I do our international retreats. And I was woken up 3 days in a row. The Lord would say to me, occupy, 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 occupy. And then the next night, I had this dream of a jet that I owned. And I was going into different parts of the world with other leaders. Maybe, Sue, we're going to do this together. And I was filling up this beautiful, gorgeous luxury jet with all these women that we were rescuing from sex trade. So there are things that God wants to do with your money. Put it in the chat. What are some of the things God wants you to do with the money you make? And if you keep holiatizing that money isn't important, you are actually saying no to the things that God wants to assign the money to do. Did everybody catch that? And God will download to the very people he knows are going to fulfill the call, the people that he knows are going to navigate the call and be obedient to what he calls. So, big rocks are deep work, non negotiable rest, money making activities, your health, your fitness, your God time. But where the big rock is like, what is your financial way to make money? Those of you who work with me know that I have a workshop sales system. I have a challenge sales system. I have, your podcast. Everything comes through your funnel. Everything comes through, whether it's a podcast, speaking on a stage, you have a book, you have a challenge. All roads lead to Rome. All the roads lead to Sell by Chat. And so having that funnel every single month, you know that you're always going to be closing sales and having people in your world. Big rocks are not other people's emergencies. Volunteer burnout, that is not a big rock. Busy work is not a big rock. Shiny objects is not a big rock. Endless meetings are not big rocks. Free labor disguised as a calling is not a big rock. It doesn't move money, mission, or margin. So if it doesn't move money, mission, or margin, it's not a big rock. Put that in the chat. Money, mission, margin. So we have big rocks, and then we have sand. I loved how Stephen Covey talks about it, right? So he actually does an exercise where he has somebody put in, all the sand first, and then they put in all the pebbles, and then of course the big rocks sit on top. There's no room for the things that are the most important. So if you get an opportunity, look that up on YouTube. But the way we're called to do it is to take the big rocks and put them in first. So pull out your calendar. If you have a challenge you're going to run every single month, put that in that whole week. Decide that's your sales funnel, that on day 4 you're going to make an offer, that you're going to close all those sales by Tuesday, and then you're going to take 3 days off. Can I get an amen on rest in the chat? That you have a recurring revenue stream. Are you going to run a masterclass every single week? What day is it except for your challenge? What does that look like? When are you planning to, go away with your family? Get that in your calendar now. I always know what day of the week it is for people's birthdays. I knew Paige, my daughter's birthday was yesterday, turned 22, and she is such a delight, such a delight. And I love to bless people. Every year I send her to go and have her highlights done. I do a breakfast with her early in the morning. I love to just bless her socks off. But I can know that next year her birthday's going to be on a Wednesday. Can I get a witness? We can plan out these things. Put in what is your challenges you're going to run every month? Put them in your calendar. What does your masterclass look like? Put it in your calendar. When are you doing your 10-minute calls and your strategy sessions? Put it in your calendar. When is your team meeting so that they can handle all the other daily operations? Put it in your calendar. When's your date night with your husband? Put it in your calendar. When is your family night every week? So for like 20 years, I do a pizza night, family night Friday. Usually this week, I'm doing a big bash at my house Saturday night. I've hired a musician who's traveling from afar to come and play. And I've got all these beautiful pink Christmas trees and champagne and non alcoholic stuff and beautiful snacks and just gorgeous. And so I'm doing that Saturday. But the rest of the year, I like to have a pizza night on Friday nights because then I always have a container. Somebody put container in the chat. Or if people want to see me, they know that that's my family time. But they can't just show up midday and expect that I'm going to drop what I'm doing because I value my clients. I value that they need my help. So put the big rocks in. What are some other big rocks you guys have? Put them in the chat. Do you have a speaking on stages? Are you traveling? Are there some? So these are all around making money and creating safety for your family. What does your week look like? I have gone to 246 hot yoga classes this year. Um, I work out in the dark with weights in a very hot room, but that's part of my schedule. Do you have somebody that you connect with that's really important in your business? So put all those in. The next part that you would put in is the small rocks, right? Yeah, your group coaching, Judith, your one-on-one, all the things that you would be doing throughout your year. If you have a Tuesday, Thursday, you have a rolling entry for people, put those in the chat, put those in your whole year. Because what you will start to see, all of a sudden, you've created space for you to work out. All you women out there who go, I don't have time to work out. One thing I learned about having 10 kids under the age of 13 and running a law practice and running is if I can make time, anyone can make time. So every day, put in your exercise time. Every day, put in when are you doing your 10-minute calls? If you're doing 20 calls a week or your team's doing them, when are they? That's 80 calls a month. 80 calls a month is 40 strategy calls. 40 strategy calls are 20 sales. 20 sales. 20 sales a month at your price point. Put that in the chat right now. Could money solve some of your problems? And if there are problems money can solve, allow money to solve it. So let's take a look at this. It's God honoring to prioritize money making activities. Everyone, it is God honoring. Your calendar needs to reflect, right? Your cash flow follows your calendar. So putting into the calendar every single day, whether it's you or a team, maybe it's four calls a day, 10-minute calls a day, they need to be in your calendar. If they're not in your calendar, you are not actually really anticipating a harvest. Your strategy call. So you go from a 10-minute call to your strategy call. Is that in there? Is the sell by chat? I'm doing this on purpose because I want everyone to see that they all of a sudden take a look at what it takes to make that kind of money is probably about 200 hours in your 24 hours. This is why we need to follow Ephesians 5:16, where we learn to buy back our time. Because to do the things that you really want to do, you're going to need a team. And you're going to need the financial cash flow to be able to take care of a team. Big rocks. What are your big rocks, guys? Put them in the chat. What are some of them? Because money solves problems. Money funds impact. Money buys time. Money reduces stress. Money creates margin. If money can solve your problem, you do not have a problem. Everyone, if money is your biggest problem, you have no problems. Put it in the chat. If money is your biggest problem, you have no problems. If money is your biggest problem, you have an offer problem. You do not have a money problem. If money is your biggest problem, you do not have a problem. You have an offer problem, not a money problem. Poverty is not humility. Burnout is not obedience. Exhaustion is not holiness, right? We are not earning rest in 2026. I want everyone to think about like you're going to factor in the money making things first. So put in your big rocks. What does that look like for you? Everyone, I want you to put it in right now. What does that look like right now? I want you to think once, put everything into your calendar. When is your live event? When do you have your sales calls? When do you meet with your team? When do you do your sell by chat process? When do you do your 10-minute calls? When do you do your content creation? I recommend that if you are still getting up and spending 3 hours with God and not creating anything, that you would consider that that is not God's plan for you. That every time you spend some time with the Lord, every time that you have exercise and a combination, I challenge every single person to put in your calendar every single day this year to create after you've done exercise. So you take some time of your day to, like me, I'm up at 4:14. I take some time to, pray, and I'm praying and moving. Anybody praying and moving with me? I listen to something while I'm doing my makeup. Come on, mamas. Where's the mamas in the chat, right? I'm doing that at the same time. I have different things happening. I have a desk in my bathroom, and I have a bulletin board, and then I can pray over people. I can type up what my team needs to do for the day. But that Proverbs 31 woman is focused on who am I going to help? And if people aren't paying you, you're not helping people. Put a price on your oil and make some decisions. So, has everybody put what you're going to make next year money wise? I want to hear everybody in the chat an amount. What is that going to look like? Because we're not earning rest, we're scheduling it. Many of you know that a few years ago, well, a number of years ago now, when I scaled to my first million, I had a small Facebook group, 300 people. And my model was 3 weeks hard, and every month I would fly to Cozumel. I'd spend a week every month in Cozumel. Would you guys like to do that? Put yes in the chat if that's you. Let's not holiatize. Let's be honest. Like if you want to go and have fun and do exciting things and travel the globe and speak and be in the sun. I mean, I love being in my bikini on a motorcycle. I love that. I love going in and, not in my bikini, but I love going in and prophesying over people all over the world. I love it. But we've got to be able to finance it. You've got to be able to fund your dreams, right? Fund your dreams. So that was a model I did for a number of years, which was amazing. And think about what model works for you guys. So we're going to, Cashflow follows your calendar. We're going to be intentional. We're going to think once. We're going to do a rest test, and we're going to lean into this plan. So again, you got your big rocks, then your pebbles, and then your sand. So the pebbles is going to be the things that are invitations and birthdays, but we're going to start with this first. So we've got your big rocks first. You're going to put in your revenue. What was your monthly revenue this year? By the end of the year, what per month? And then by the end of 2026, what do you want your monthly revenue to be? Let's work that out. So let's think about, like anybody put what you want in chat. So let's say your monthly revenue is 25,000 a month. Maybe that's, 5 clients at 5,000 each. Maybe next year you would like it to be, $1 million dollars a month, and you're going to have 20 clients every month come in at 50,000, or you're going to have a combination of that. Maybe you'll have 5 clients at 100,000, maybe you'll have 25 at whatever that's going to look like for you. Put that math in. Everyone, I want you to do this work because sometimes we holiatize. Can I get a witness? If it's God's will, it's going to show up. If it's God's will. No, it is God's will. And we're going to be the hands and feet and implement. We're going to reverse engineer, what does this look like? So let's think about, what are some rhythms that we need to put in, and what are some things we need to take out? I want this interactive, guys. So yeah, thank you, Iris. That's great. 150,000 in 2026. Like, let's be specific as to what that looks like, right? I think you could do more. But stick with what you guys put something in the chat. Number of free days you would like. That's also part of it. Do you want to be doing a live event, close 20 from the stage, and make your $1 million right then have a month of rest? Do you want to not have any traveling and you want everything online and you only want 3 days a week? Maybe you have little kids at home and you only have a certain amount of, childcare in that window. So you're going to need a team member who can collapse timeframes for you and bring in the revenue on that, within that shortened time frame. It's called constraint theory. Constraints actually really help us. I think when you think you have all the time in the world, it's very dangerous. Think in constraints. Yeah, definitely want to speak and have 3 days free. So let's get clear about that. How many free days did you have this year? Were you on burnout this year? Were you on overdoing, overgiving, and getting underpaid? If that was you, let's maybe not do that next year. How about we don't do that next year? And instead, we make a decision of monthly revenue. Put that in the chat. If it's 15,000, if it's 100,000, if it's 50,000, you get to choose what that looks like. But then you need to reverse engineer what you need to do, what your team needs to do, and how to make it actually come together. All right, but put that in the chat. Everybody's done that part, yes? The number of clients, everybody's done that, yes? And then number of days that you would like free. You maybe want 2 days a week, maybe it's 3. What does that look like? Right? We are not earning rest, we're scheduling it. So we're having your rhythms come in. Everything about work and money goes in your calendar first. Somebody put money first. Cash flow follows your calendar. Put that in. All your triage calls, your sales calls. If you're going to do bonus days on Saturday after your challenge. If you're going to have 2 days the following week after a challenge that's just closing sales. Then you give your whole team a day off after that. What does it look like for you? Put it in your calendar. If you have 4 kids and you want to spend time with their birthdays, put it in the calendar. You already know your anniversary, put it in the calendar. If you are spending a half a day every week doing grocery shopping, you could order your groceries, have them delivered, and take that entire morning to do sales calls. I want everyone to let's turn on a switch here. Rest is not laziness. Rest is leadership. But you only rest after you have a period of some kind of intensity. So put all the big rocks, money makers in first. High capacity people need planned recovery. So your calendar must include days off, vacations, buffer days. Does anybody here find, like, if you travel a lot, I know some of you do speak internationally, that if you travel, that, my husband, he can fly anywhere and he's like good in like 5 seconds later. Okay. I don't know. Is anybody else not like that? I'm not like that. I like need a day. I need a day. I need a day to, I can go into working, I can go back into creative, but I just can't like run at that same kind of speed. I need a day. So if you know that about yourself, have a buffer day. I also know about myself that I need fun. Does anybody else need fun in their lives? Can I get a yes in the chat? I hope that's you. So for me, I have a rule in my home that by 4 o'clock Friday, the house has to be perfectly clean. That all the beds are made, all the sheets are shifted over, all the kitchen, everything, all the floors are mopped. I don't do any of it, of course. Everything is done. All the laundry, all the beds, everything is done. So that by Friday, 4 o'clock, we are ready that if people show up for family night or pizza night, or if we want to go somewhere or go away. And then for that next 24 hours, unless I'm working on a case or something for clients that's unusual, I want to do something fun with my family. Did anybody else grow up in a household where you cleaned the house on Saturday morning? That was like an event, right? A lot of people grew up like that. And I wanted my kids to have the weekend so that Saturday was like something fun. And Sunday they could go to church and be, in the presence of God, or they can, like my girls volunteer, like in the childcare. One of my daughters leads a big young adults group at the church every week. So I wanted them to be able to do those things with their life, right? So put those in. You putting in your calendar. Are you guys starting to see how much is getting filled up in your calendar? Put yes. Because why do we say yes to so many things? Why do we say yes to so many things? What's the reason? We say yes because we haven't done the math on what is important. If you are not at 10, 20, 30, 50, 100K months, then that has to be your priority right now. And the rest of the time is is you staying in a place of rest and honoring the time with God, honoring your time to take care of yourself and love on your family. That's all you have time for right now. So if people are not planning their lives and then coming to you with their emergency, you're going to have to set a boundary so that you can make sure that you reach your goals this year. So every decision you make says, this is who I am. Every decision you make says, this is who I am. When you say, I don't have time, I'll think about it. Maybe later, I probably should. It's not humility, it's actually avoidance. Decision is the doorway to power. Remember the word decision, decide, means to cut yourself off from any other outcome. The decision cuts off all other options once you make a decision. So today, I want everyone to be so clear about your decisions. Are you guys feeling empowered today to get a hold of 2026 already in your heart? How much money you make, how many days you're going to work, how much rest you're going to take, who you will serve, what you will tolerate. Clarity collapses overwhelm. Clarity collapses overwhelm. So think about more rhythm and more rest, right? Weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. What are you going to do? Where are you going to do it? And with who are you going to do that with? What are those things? And does it depend on how much money that you're making? I would encourage all of you, if you have a high financial goal and you have people in your world that are supporting you and loving you, whether it's your team, your husband, your wife, your parents, your whoever that person is in your world, that you take some time to like really appreciate them. Maybe it is setting up a special dinner, maybe it's taking them away on a vacation. But that's part of your system for next year to say thank you. That once you've got to that goal, so put that in the chat right now. What would you like to do? So maybe you're going to have a massive event in January or February. Maybe you're speaking somewhere. Maybe it's a challenge and you're hoping for you're going to close so many sales, right? Cassandra, you start your new academy and you have, 10 people join in January at 10,000 each. That you're like, honey, we just did 100K month. What are you going to do? Your husband's standing along with you. Leanna, Judith, what is your plan? Put that in place. I ran with a group of amazing leaders a few years ago. I did coaching with them for a couple of years, and they were radical. If they would have a goal of what they were going to do if they reached their goal, and then they would have what they're going to do if they didn't. And some of them would like shave their head. Like I'm talking like radical things. They would make a decision that if they didn't reach their goal, they were going to have to do something pretty radical. So I want you to think about something beautiful you can do with your family and already plan it. Because when you make that plan to be with them like that, you've involved more people than yourself. And you have to be accountable to deliver what you're saying to them. And then if you're not able to do it, what will you make a decision? Now, I'll tell you mine because you guys are going to think I'm totally hilarious probably, but when you have a family, anybody have a van? Anybody drive a minivan here because you have kids and you have a family? Well, I have a minivan that I never drive. Never. Never, 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 never. And my thing, and then I drive a Jag convertible in the summer, and I drive a beautiful, yeah, 15 passenger Kim. I had one of those. I called it the rolling turd, right? But my punishment, and I drive a Porsche normally, my punishment was that if I didn't reach my goals, I had to drive the van. I wasn't allowed to drive the Porsche or the Jag. So that was enough. My family was like, that's enough. That's all you have to tell mom because she does not want to drive the minivan. I just, yeah, it's just not my favorite vehicle to drive. Now, you guys can judge me all you want, but you all got your own equivalent of that, don't you? Everybody here has something that you don't like to do either. But that's kind of my thing. My thing is housework, and I don't want to drive a van. That's where I draw the line. So think about it in terms like that, like who you serve, what you will tolerate. Anything you tolerate will multiply. Anything you tolerate will multiply. So let's design your year. So it starts with that monthly income goal. What's your monthly income goal? Put it in your chat. What is your ideal work schedule? So we're looking at money, we're looking at meaning, and we're looking at freedom. What's your ideal work schedule? 2 to 3 days off? What does that look like for you? What are your non-negotiable times for rest? Are you going to make sure that you have Sunday off? Now, to me, if you haven't booked your calls out or you don't have everything done, then Sunday isn't a rest day. You're going to need to take the time to work. So if you know you want Sunday off, then I highly recommend that you would book out your maybe Friday or Thursday afternoon. Have things in cycles. What does that look like? Is your invoicing, is somebody on your team doing the invoicing every single week? Are you booking all your calls? Or your team booking all your calls on a Thursday or a Friday every week before the weekend so that you can go into the weekend knowing the next week's already planned? All the 10-minute calls, all those closes, the sales calls. When is your creation time? Are you going to be at the gym 6 to 7 and then 7 to 8 every day is when you create, you have a shower and you make sure you create some content during that time? What does that look like? Now, my clients love to get a whole bunch of content done at once. So those of you who haven't been to one of my events in Cozumel, the next one's coming up in January. And during that time, I have a professional videographer, and we just intensely get a whole ton of content done at once. My clients like that because then it allows them the daily space to be able to work out and be in their own creative flow and time with the Lord. And if they make something on the daily in addition or write something, then that's wonderful. But that then they have their core content done in a shorter period of time. So what works for you? You want to take a look at your family priorities. Maybe you're homeschooling your kids. Maybe you are a pastor of a church. Maybe you're a pastor part-time. What does that look like for your family so that they don't feel that their mom is working all the time, but that you have boundaries? When I'm with my kids at dinner time, when I'm doing our family devotional, any of those things, I want to be fully present. Can I get an amen in the chat? So set those boundaries. What is your week by week going to look like for that? So family priorities. Next one would be the money making rhythms. Again, you can have your monthly income goal, but if you reverse engineered how that actually is going to become a reality, if you don't reverse engineer it of how it's going to become a reality, right? I have a system that brings in 1,400 leads every month. I know that 350 people are going to be clients. 10% are going to be, 10, 15% are going to be now. And, somewhere in the 85 to 90% are going to be later. Who are the now buyers? Do you have a system to be able to draw those people into conversations or bring them into your funnel, into your challenge, into your masterclass? So this isn't a fantasy. Does everyone see that there is a responsibility on us? It's not all on the Lord. Everyone, right? God isn't, we're not waiting on God. God is waiting on us to step into massive action. So it's not fantasy, it's architecture. You are building a structure that your future self will live inside. You are building a structure that your future self will live inside. It will hem in your prayers. Preloading your year hems in your prayers. You're saying, God, I believe so much that these things are going to come to pass that I'm going to put it in my calendar as though I'm going to be there. These are my flight times. This is when I'm speaking. This is when I do a call to action. This is when I'm training. This is when my masterclass is. This is when I meet with my team. This is when I have family night. This is when I have date night. Does everybody have a date night in your weekly calendar with your husband every week or your wife? Put it in your calendar. So ask yourself, are you guys driving yourself? If you to look at your year this last year, are you driving yourself? Are you in the driver's seat or are you in the passenger seat? Or are you in the back seat in your business? Or are you in the trunk? Where are you guys? Put it in. Are you the driver? Are you leading everything? Are you in the passenger seat? You're sort of leading, kind of letting things kind of slip by. Are you in the back seat? Or are you hiding in the boot or the trunk of the car, depending where you live in the world? Are you in the driver's passenger seat? Come on, Kim is in the passenger, but she's moving over to the driver's seat. I love that. Remember, there's no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus, right? God only exposes for the purpose of healing. I'm bringing this up so that you can be so aware going into 2026, right? The driver's seat is where you have intention and choice and leadership and peace. Sue is in the driver's seat, but needs to drive less and rest more, right? Sometimes we need to have that automatic driver that somebody can get in the driver's seat on our team and that we can then delegate it all off to them. The back seat. So the back seat is when we're kind of reactive. Anybody reactive in their business instead of proactive? When you're in the back seat, you're in overwhelm. You apologize to people all the time. You feel exhausted. In the front seat, in the trunk or in the boot, you have resentment, you have bitterness and chaos, and you're in survival mode. You guys can choose where you want to be at. Choose one of them. So we can stop waiting and we can start leading. You can stop waiting and start leading. And remember back at the beginning, I was talking about we have the big rocks first, then we have pebbles that come in. So those are those next little things that we love to do. Maybe you have things like dental appointments or you know therapy appointments with your kids. Like those are important, but they don't go in first in your calendar. All your big rocks come in first. Another thing I want to mention is about your level of energy. So I'm a morning person. So I do most of my heavy lifting from like 4 a.m. till about 3 or 4 o'clock in the day. Sometimes earlier, depending. Um, and often I'll pick things back up just to chat with my team or whatever in the evening. But or if a client reaches out to me and needs help. But mostly is top heavy. Are you guys going to structure that you do mostly in the morning and then you can really just relax at dinner time? If you're feeling like you don't have energy, you're exhausted, you feel like you're kind of like chasing your tail, um, having a price point, having one offer, having $1 million model, having a team, and having some self care boundaries, family boundaries, they are all going to hem in your calling. All of them will hem in your calling, right? Waiting is not faith. Waiting is often fear dressed up as spirituality, right? Faith is move, faith has action. Faith builds, faith prepares, faith decides. God does not bless confusion. God blesses stewardship. And stewardship looks like planning and structure and systems and boundaries and clarity. So 2026 does not need more effort from you. Doesn't need more effort from you. Many of you think that what it took to bring you to 10K months is what's going to take you to 100K months or $1 million month. And it won't. It's not more hustling, more grinding, more stress, more overworking. It's actually the opposite. What could you offload right now? Put it in the chat. What could you offload, not add to your calendar? What could you offload? Is there somebody on your team that is kind of dragging your energy or your weight? Is there lack of systems or structures that if you just put systems and structures in, boom, 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 things are just going to move? Is there a key person that could be on your team that could take on a lot of the stress, a lot of the day-to-day operations? Maybe it's time you increase your prices. Maybe you're thinking too small. Maybe you're still hiding, not believing that this would actually come to pass for you. Maybe you're in a stuck season where you're the bottleneck, that you step in and get involved and micromanage and are checking and have your hand in every pot. You have your hand in the tech department and in the content department, in the sales department, in the every single thing. And it's preventing you from becoming financially, yeah, like Yuta, it's time for her to increase her prices, right? If you are finding that you are spread thin and that you're jumping back into rescue or jumping back into do all these kind of tasks. I call them $10 an hour tasks. I know that's not what minimum wages, but are you doing $10 an hour tasks with $1 million calling? Are you doing a $10 an hour task? Are you still doing those tasks? Because 2026 does not need more effort for you. It needs alignment. It needs structure. It needs decision. It needs honesty. So today I want everybody to like draw a line. I want you to draw a line for yourself on your page and like just make a decision that you're jumping over this line. That you're not going to allow the sand to run your life. You're not going to allow other people's responsibilities to run your life. You're not going to come in and step into other quadrants, take over other actions, other jobs. So there's no more drifting, right? There's no more chaos addiction. There's no more under earning. Can I get a witness in the chat? No more apologizing for your oil. We don't have to apologize for how extraordinary we are. Now, I love little kids. Anybody here just adore? Like my kids are, I still have kids at home, but I don't have any little tiny ones anymore. And I just love how kids just are proud of who they are. A little girl can be in her prettiest little dress and, be like, look at me, mom. Don't I look so cute? And they twirl around and they're so proud of themselves. Then somehow as we get older, it's almost like we're apologizing. Sorry, I'm so sorry I'm wearing this like really nice dress. Oh, I'm so sorry that I'm, so helpful and thoughtful. Let's not apologize for our oil anymore because God doesn't want that from us. That's actually not humility. He wants us to step boldly into his throne room of grace. You ever thought about that? We only need that if we're doing bold things. Let's step boldly into that space. You are prepared. You are ready. You are locked and loaded. Stop being your own bottleneck this year. The sand, let it come in last. Let the sand come in last. If you have something where that's just getting in the way, maybe people just show up at your house with the grandkids. Grandkids are beautiful. Maybe it's your own children that just seem to be able to take up any amount of time. Set some boundaries with them. Maybe it's you don't have a work spot where you have your own area where you can lead well. Create it today. Maybe you haven't had those systems in place so that you, on Friday at 4 o'clock, when it's pizza night, your house is clean, your calls are booked, your staff is paid, and you're ready to have a restful weekend. Who would like that? Put me in the chat. I'm proud of you guys. I cannot wait to see what you're going to do in 2026. If you are stuck and you want some help, reach out to our team. My Facebook accounts are still not working. You can reach me, of course, through my team. You can reach me through LinkedIn or through Instagram or whatever other accounts I have. Send me a message. We would be happy to help you out. But put the big rocks in first. Put the baby pebbles in next and put the sand in last. And put your calling and what God has for you, put it with a dollar amount this year. Instead of holiatizing, of thinking, well, I'm just here and I'm available, Lord, I want everyone to post in the Kingdom Millionaire that says, I am, put your list, I am this. I am making $100,000 a month or $1 million a month. What is the amount that you're saying? And I will fulfill. What are you fulfilling? Tell God what you're fulfilling this year. Tell him what you're let going this year. I will not work with people that don't value my oil. I will set boundaries. I will honor the date night with my husband. I won't be overwhelmed by all these little things that I didn't get done. I will have a team. I will pay my team well. I will honor the Lord and serve my husband and love on my children. I will create legacy in my family. Come on, guys. And let your calendar be a representation of that. Love you so much. Have an amazing Christmas, gang. And I'll pass it over to Matthew.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Coach Heaven, and thank you everyone for being here. That was incredible. So yeah, as Coach Heaven said, post in the Kingdom Millionaire Facebook group after this what your goals are for 2026. We would love to see that. And yeah, please reach out to us if you have any questions at all. As Coach Heaven said, have an incredible Christmas and New Year, and we will see you again in the new year. Judith, did you have something?
Yes, I just put there. I I
Oh,
have just added you. Did you see that? I
yeah. So
was that
we're
right? Was that right? Because I was worried about.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm.
we're still adding we're still having some troubles. You'll probably still be able to add us on Facebook, but we're not able to access the account currently.
But I've
So
got your messenger. I
yeah,
still.
but it's linked so the account's still up, but we aren't able to have access to it. either in Facebook or Messenger. So we're working that out. But if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook, or reach out in the Kingdom Millionaire account, or as Coach Heaven said, her Instagram account is still working as well. If you would want to reach out there. But yeah, other than that, guys, thank you so much for being here, and have an incredible rest of your day, an incredible weekend.